What I just showed you at the start of the video there is incredibly significant, folks. You know, when it really sinks into people's minds that the people who died at the Nova Festival on October the 7th, 2023 were all actually killed by IDF. When it sinks in that all of the burnt homes are the result of tank shelling, and when it really sinks in that the videos we saw of Hamas apparently, allegedly shooting people in the street were AI generated, this puts a whole new light on everything. It really does. Got some music lessons happening up here, folks. They bring the kids from the orphanage down here and they teach them music. Which is pretty cool. But when it really sinks in that some of the videos we saw of these alleged atrocities were literally AI generated, they didn't happen. And that the IDF killed their own people on October 7th to get the body count high enough to justify their genocide of Palestine. When it really sinks in what these people have done, you begin to see the very dangerous situation the world is in. And remember, these people have infiltrated all of our governments. The entire United States government is occupied. America is essentially an occupied country. It's been occupied by Jews who've taken control of the government and who are directing American foreign policy, which is why Israel is being funded in this genocide. And bear in mind, 70% of the funding for this genocide comes from the United States of America. The bombs they're using to destroy Gaza, the bombs they're using to destroy Lebanon are US weapons. When this really begins to sink in, you see what we're facing here. And in the last week, like, I've had power problems again, folks. A lot of noise. I've had power problems again. Had electricity went off yesterday again for 24 hours. Just came back on a couple of hours ago. But in the last week, we've seen Israel destroy the last hospital in Gaza, the hospital in Jabalia.
نحن الآن تقريبا خرجنا عن الخطة بشكل كامل. مركبات الاسعاف الان ممنوع ان تخرج من خارج المستشفى، وتم تهديده بشكل مباشر، ان خرجتم سنستهدف سيارات الاسعاف. فاصبح الجريح ياتي بنفسه، ومن لم يستطع المجيء الى المستشفى سيموت، يعني مصيره سيكون الموت في الشوارع. هناك اعداد كبيره جدا من المصابين، نتلقى منهم مناشدات ولا نستطيع ان نقدم لهم شيء. وضع كارثي بكل ما تعني الكلمه من معنى. استهداف مستشفى بشكل مباشر بهذا الوصف العنيف وبهذا الوصف المخيف، هذا شيء اجرامي في 2024.
They bombed the hospital, shelled it, left the patients in there, kidnapped all of the staff, took all of the medicine. So now you've got this bombed out hospital with walls missing, patients in there, you've got no doctors, no nurses, no medicines, no bandages, nothing. So you're just leaving the people there in the worst possible conditions and making sure they have no medical aid at all. They burnt the last school in Jabalia as well. Also bombed a youth centre.
ايه والحديد اللي فوقيكوا دير بالك والحديد اللي فوقيكوا.
فلا تلوموني ولوموا أنفسكم ما أنا بمصرخكم وما أنتم بمصرخي.
They're kidnapping all the men and all the evacuees, which aren't evacuees, they're just expelling people from their homes and detonating the homes. And half of the people haven't even been able to get out. As I showed you on the last video report, there's still 300,000 to 400,000 people trapped in their homes. They get shot at if they try to leave, and then Israeli forces come along and detonate the home with the people in it. You know, all these figures we hear of 45,000 people killed, and this figure hasn't gone up in the last 6 or 7 months, folks. They're still saying 45,000 people killed. It's got to be up to 1 million or over 1 million who've been killed by now. And it isn't 17,000 children, it's probably more like 100,000 to 200,000 children, if not more, because they're not taking into account the amount of kids that are buried under rubble.
We were discussing it while we were out there. It's sort of that age group from sort of 5 to about 12. There seems to be a huge number of those children that are quite severely injured. So they have, over 40% burns, loss of limb, facial injuries. And one of the theories behind it is that the under 5s are often picked up by their parents and shielded, or somebody grabs them and runs with them, and the over 12s are pretty quick, so they can get themselves out of a situation and run away. So that age group from 5 to 12 is just unable to defend themselves, and that's why we see so many of them. How the world can just stand and watch what was happening, watch us sort of, treat all these infants that have been sort of bombed and burnt. So I really believe that the government does not speak for the majority of us in the UK. And I think that we have to keep making that point. We have to desist. We have to boycott Israel. We have to let this voice out that we are not supporting this party line. We want an end to this. I'm sick of hearing about Hamas terrorists and Israel's right to defend itself. The bottom line is this is a human rights issue and children are being murdered. It's got to stop, and we've got to stop supporting it.
And some of the stuff they're doing, they get all these people together, gather them in an area out in the sun and leave them there. And as I said, they separate all the men, take them off. They're literally stripping the men down their underwear, putting numbers on their backs and taking them off for torture, rape, execution, whatever they do with these people.
قالوا لنا اطلعوا شارع صلاح الدين، ومن صلاح الدين أخذوا زلامنا وإحنا حطونا من الساعة 6 الصبح لهالوقت لما نطلعونا حطونا في حفرة كبيرة يا أخوي. الطخ شغال من كل جهة، نسوان صغار إيش لي لقوا شاب يخدوا ابن أختي مريضة خدوا منها والله ما هو قادر يمشي. أما شتتونا وفرقونا، في مرضى مش قادرين يمشوا، بنتي مكسورة مش قادرة تمشي على رجلها، أمي مريضة عندها القلب مش قادر مرمية هناك مش قادرة تمشي يا أخوي. حسبي الله إيش يسيبوها، حسبي الله.
كان الله في عونكم، كان الله في عونكم. إذا كما نشاهد هذه المشاهد ومن شمال قطاع غزة، حيث جيش الاحتلال أخلى شمال القطاع بشكل كامل من السكان، حتى المناطق الآمنة التي نزح إليها سكان مخيم جباليا باتجاه مشروع بيت لاهيا.
They're so cruel, so incredibly cruel, and what they're doing now in Lebanon, just bombing entire villages. And these are centuries old villages that have been there. Like, they're bombing Tyre at the moment, the city of Tyre, which is a 4,500-year-old city. Absolutely incredible, folks. There's places in Lebanon who can trace their heritage back to like 6,000 years. There's 6,000-year-old cities. There's one city in Lebanon, I can't remember the name of the city, but it's a really, really old city. The longest permanently occupied city, the oldest permanently occupied city in the world. It's been occupied by the same families that can trace their lineage back to like 900 BC and prior to that even. Bombing this, it's just incredible, folks, what's happening. And people may wonder why I've spent so much time on this and why I'm still talking about this. Like, I've been talking about Gaza and what's been going on, and all this war erupting in the Middle East and these people being exterminated and covering this genocide for like 13 months now. And the reason I do it, folks, is because they need a voice. There's not too many people talking about it. And anybody who isn't talking about it is complicit. It's incredible. And you've got even people saying this is fake. Unbelievable, folks. You've got Israeli agents went out there dressed up as Palestinians and did a couple of videos, like 2 or 3 videos using rubber babies. And now, so-called truth community members have been saying, oh, that means that everything's fake. And just covering up this genocide. Obviously Zionist agents, I would say. Either that or they're just complete idiots. But anyone who isn't covering this is complicit in this genocide.
Crisis with the additional factor of Gaza is about to enter the winter, which often brings heavy rain to the region.
Kate, in all honesty, a humanitarian crisis is what you deal with when you have a hurricane, what you deal with when you have an earthquake. You have an insult and a humanitarian response. This is my career. This is what I do for a living. Every single person who does this for a living will tell you the same thing. This is different. This is not a humanitarian crisis. Kate, and I'm going to say it very clearly for your viewers to hear, this is genocide. When 70% of the population that are killed are women and children, when the population is starved of food, of water, of medicine, when you have attacks, repeated attacks on all the hospitals, the clinics, the aid distribution sites, the humanitarian aid agencies that try to help. More UN workers have been killed in Gaza than in UN's history. When you have over 900 families that have been exterminated, that have been taken off of the civil registry, killed. When you have over 17,000 children that have lost one or both parents. When you have bakeries, aid distribution sites, churches, mosques, schools, and in the last 3 days, in the last 24 hours, in fact, a hospital today that was bombed, as you just reported, the hospital where I personally was working, and I can tell you, they are working every second of every day to try and sustain life when Israel's strategy and evidence on the ground suggests that they're doing the exact opposite. They were targeted today. There was a rehabilitation center that was targeted in the last 24 hours, and there was an orphanage that was targeted earlier this week. These are the types of places that are being targeted. And so it's really hard to hear it over and over and over again, framed in the way that it's being framed in the media, which frankly, Kate, is very misleading. It is very misleading. 365 days of this. Death tolls that are so far outdated. We have no idea how many people are killed, but I am genuinely afraid about what we're going to find out when the dust settles. History books will be written on this. And countries will have to reckon, media agencies will have to reckon with their major role in the genocide of an entire population and in the destruction of humanitarian law and rule of order.
This is the most important issue in the world today because this is what is coming to our countries. I've said many times, if we do not deal with the moral dilemma that is Palestine, then the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. And they're showing us this now. I mean, Israel is losing so much support. Protests are still happening all around the world. Nikki Haley was apparently supposed to speak at some university the other day and she got booed out of the premises. And of course the headlines are saying, isn't it terrible that we've got people supporting terrorism that are now attacking decent, honest Jews? There are no decent, honest Jews. These are the most fucked up species of subhuman parasites that nature ever spawned. And they are deliberately carrying out a mass genocide, not just of Palestine and Lebanon. These are just the most visible. They're doing it to the rest of the world before. I mean, all through the COVID jabs and all the shit they did and all the stuff they're continuing to do. It's remarkable. How are you, brother?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Getting the video done.
Great.
It's a bit late in the day for it, but that's the way it goes.
It's nicer now.
Yeah, it's good. It's cooled down a bit. But yeah, that's the reason I talk about it so much, because it's just so important. It's so important that these people have a voice. And the Israelis are incredibly cruel, folks. You've got to understand the level of cruelty that these people like to dish out. I told you before the story of the Samuni family. When I was in Gaza in 2012, I went in there with Ken O'Keefe. And we visited the Samuni family. I mean, I've met these people. I've had lunch with them. I've spoken to them. I've shared time with them. I built a schoolroom for their children because they were so traumatized after what happened to them in Operation Cast Lead. Even calling an Operation Cast Lead. How is that a targeted, non-discriminatory attack? Look at these dragonflies, folks, everywhere. Whole world of dragonflies there. Incredible. Haven't seen that before. But the Samuni family were terrorized by these people. 43 family members killed deliberately. They did terrible things. I might even get back and tell you that story a little bit later in the video. But what's happened to them through this whole conflict as well? I mean, when it started in October 8th last year, when Israel started coming in and attacking them, on October 23rd last year, the Sunnis decided they would take the advice that Israel was sending them and they would use the safe corridor to get themselves out of harm's way because they couldn't stay where they were. They're in an area called, I think it's like Zanaut or Zanut it's called, and it's kind of in central Gaza. It's just south of Gaza City. They had a farm there, about 69 acres or something, and they're farmers. The Sunni family of farmers. There's no reason to attack them or do anything to them. But they were getting bombed, they were getting attacked. It wasn't safe for them to stay where they were. So they decided they would take the advice of the Israelis and they would take the safe corridor to go south. The stories that they've related of what happened on that journey, like the safe corridor, yeah, safe. They said they had to ignore the bodies just lying on the road, and they were seeing things like, you know, children's limbs just left there on the road, like arms and legs, and you could tell they were from a child, just rotting on the side of the road. They had to just kind of ignore all that and keep focused on getting south. They got to a point halfway where there was a checkpoint. As soon as they stopped at the checkpoint, the Israeli soldiers ordered one of Zanat's sons, the guy 24 years old, 24 or 26, to step aside, step down the road into the trench that they had on the side of the road. They didn't say why, they just told him to step aside. The youngest son, 16 years old, asked why his brother was being taken and told to go down to the side of the road. You know, like, we're just farmers, why are you taking my brother? The Israeli soldiers responded by telling him to join his brother, 16 years old. Then the oldest brother just asked the soldiers, can you tell me where you're taking them, please? And the Israelis then told him to join his brothers. The oldest brother, of course, is a farmer. He's also a father of 6. And none of these men have been seen since. None of these people have been seen since. The rest of the Sunni family, 36 of them that were left, went south, and when they went through the checkpoint, the Israeli soldiers were abusing them, calling them names, swearing at them in Arabic in the foulest terms they could think of, and saying, yeah, you can go south for now. We'll come down there and deal with you later. That's the sort of stuff they were doing. And the Sunni family have been living in a small tent, 36 of them, with 4 blankets between them. And that's just them. And you know, they were told to go south. That was in October 23rd last year. And now here we are a year later. They've been taken out of that spot, told to go other places and told to go other places and told to go other places. There was a little girl there when I went to Gaza in 2012 with Ken. There was a little girl there called Noor Samuni, and we really bonded. She was helping me every day build the schoolroom. She kind of adopted me as her father because, of course, her father had been killed by Israeli forces. And I told her that one day I'll come back and get her. And I tried to get back into Gaza so many times to see Noor. This beautiful little girl with incredible light in her eyes. I've seen recent pictures of her. I saw a picture of her from 2 years later when she was about 10 years old. And a lot of the light had gone from her face. And I saw a picture of her that was taken about 6 months ago with the Samuni family sheltering in southern Gaza. A young woman now, she's like 20 years old now, maybe even 21. And she looks like she's really been through hell. It is so sad to see the light in these children's faces being extinguished. But I tell you folks, this is really important. And like I said, Israel is losing favour all around the world. People aren't backing down. People see Israel for what it is now. It's a rogue terrorist state. Everything that it accuses others of doing is what it does itself. And this is becoming apparent to everybody. Now, we're seeing all sorts of outrage in the media, how Jews are being persecuted and the rise of anti-Semitism and all this sort of stuff, trying to cover up that fact and trying to make it look like most of the world supports Israel, when in reality they don't. The only reason these stories are being published is because Jews control the media. Jews control the education, they control the television stations, they control Hollywood, and they control the US government and many other governments as well. Interestingly here, the new Jewish president we have, Claudia Sheinbaum, has said that she recognizes Palestine as a state. Interesting. I don't know whether that's just play or what. I mean, they want you to think it's not all of them, so there's good people in there that are doing the right thing and rah. And I've thought this for a long time as well, that there are good Jews, and I'm sure there are a couple, but not a lot. But I don't know whether to believe what Sheinbaum says or whether that's just a play. So, hard to tell, folks. Hey, little puss, what's going on? Little cat down here, folks. Oop. He's a little bit scared of the pole. What's going on? Don't be scared. Hey, you little guy. No, he's off doing his own thing. But yeah, it's hard to know whether it's a play or whether they're actually on the side of good. But this is an incredibly evil state, folks. It's so evil that many years ago, Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel itself told the world about what they call the Samson option. And that is that, okay, we're a nuclear power now. Of course, they deny being a nuclear power on one hand, and then they put out statements like they did with the Samson option, which doesn't really make sense. But they said, we're a nuclear power now, and we have nuclear warheads, nuclear missiles trained on every major capital city in the world. And if it ever gets to the stage that it looks like Israel is going to fall, we will nuke every major capital city on earth, and we will take the entire rest of the world down with us. The Samson option, they call it. You know, now I would debate whether nuclear weapons are real and whether they're not just bluffing. Because, I mean, it's very difficult to establish the reality of nuclear weapons, folks, regardless of what they tell us. It's just very difficult to establish this. I mean, the stuff they told us about Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you know, atomic bombs and all that sort of stuff. You know, Nagasaki and Hiroshima just went up like, you know, firestorm. But again, a lot of the buildings at that time were paper. You know, they had those paper buildings in Japan. They burned very, very well, as paper does. And you got to wonder about a lot of that. Just looking through the restaurant area here, folks, to see what's going on, see if it's up and running and functional. Doesn't look like it's back to normal yet, but it's getting there. There's normally tables and things around here. But yeah, the whole Samson option. But whether nuclear weapons are real or whether they're not, whether it's just some big hoax, just think about the mentality of them even making that statement to begin with. If it looks like we're going to fail, we will nuke the world. Whether you're involved in our failure or not doesn't matter. You're not Israel, and if Israel's going to fall, then we're taking everybody else with us, even the innocent. Because of course, if you're not a Jew, you're not innocent. You're Amalek, you're Goyim. You are the servant of these people and they can do what they want according to their own doctrines. But imagine the audacity of even making such a statement to begin with, whether or not nuclear weapons are real. But with all the flack that Israel is getting in the face of what it's done over the last 13 months, Benjamin Netanyahu again said the other day, if Israel falls, then the world will fall. A lot of people will take this to mean, well, he's saying that if we don't stop the terrible Muslim menace, then it will overrun the entire world. Or is he actually saying, if we don't win this, then we're going to implement the Samson option and we're going to nuke you all? It wouldn't surprise me if that's what he actually meant. That's the mentality of these people, folks. So, was that a veiled threat? Of course, I can't respond to it because I've been banned from Twitter again, or X, for another week for criticising the genocide, because Elon is all about free speech. And he's like become Trump's number one right-hand man at the moment, almost like his running mate. I'll tell you, folks, Trump is so pro-Zionist and has become so incredibly pro-Zionist since the assassination attempt that he's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to the United States. He'll probably get in because the Jews, I think, want him to get in. So he probably will. But he's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to the United States. Even if he was on their side last time, which I doubt, people forget he's the father of the vaccine. He still takes credit for that. He's still proud of how quick he got the vaccine out. He's never mentioned how all these people are dying from it and all the damage that it actually did. He's still very pro-vaccine. Still a bit of water around here, folks, as you can see. Bit of water on the ground, not really good to walk through there at the moment. It's kind of ankle deep. They're coming along though. But he is so pro-Zionist. Yeah, and that shooting was so staged, folks. It was so fake. And when I look at that ritual that they do, where they pierce the ear with an awl, pierce the right ear with an awl to swear fealty to your Israeli overlords. This is a symbol of willing servitude to the Jewish system. Now, Trump's daughter married a Jew. He's got Jewish grandchildren. He fully supports Israel, and he is going to get them to finish this job as quickly as they can. He will get them to bomb all of Lebanon, bomb Syria. Yeah, and that's what they're doing as well. Like, they're bombing Gaza. They bombed the capital city of Lebanon. And meanwhile, remember, the head of military, or the Minister for Defense, or whatever his name is, Yoav Golan or something like that. I don't know what the people of these names are. Yolande, I don't know. But this guy said, yeah, we don't want war, we want peace. And yet in regards to Palestine, they bombed the peace negotiator, killed the peace negotiator, killed the peace negotiator's family. Then they bombed the capital of Iran, bombed the capital of Lebanon, bombed the capital of Syria, and now they're saying we're being attacked on 7 fronts. You know, they attacked people on 7 fronts. It's incredible. And this alleged attack they waged against Iran the other day seems to have done virtually no damage. I mean, the Iranians are saying it did no damage. Israel is saying it did all damage. It hit all the targets that they wanted. I don't believe either of them. I think they're all working together on this. I don't trust the Iranian government any more than I trust the Israeli government. I don't trust any government. I don't trust Putin. I don't trust any of them. But the world is really turning against what Israel is doing, and you've got Netanyahu there announcing that if Israel falls, the world will fall. And again, folks, is this an implementation of the Samson option? As I said, I mean, I still don't know whether nukes are real or whether they're not. But it's interesting that Israel would say that. I mean, there's so many psyops out there at the moment, and there's so many truths within truths and lies within truths, and the whole flat earth movement, the whole fake shooting stuff. They faked the Sandy Hook shooting, they faced the Boston Marathon bombing, and so now people say all shootings and all bombings are fake. They put videos out of a couple of rubber babies, and these would have been Israelis dressed up as Palestinians. And now people think, there's no genocide going on in Gaza. And the whole concept, there's no nuclear weapons. I mean, who knows what's real in any of these folks? Who knows what shape the earth actually is? Who knows? Hey, Pussykin. You follow me around, but you won't let me touch you. That's interesting. This little cat, folks, is still right here with me. Hey, Puss. But what is real and what isn't real? And people develop these mindsets where, I believe this, and if you don't agree with me, you're an idiot. Nukes are fake. If you think they're not, then you haven't woken up yet. Whatever. Maybe they just told you nukes are fake, so that you'll think the Samson option threat is a fake. Or maybe they are fake, and the Samson option is just one big bluff. Who knows? But we're heading for such interesting times. The imminent dollar collapse. Did you see the other day when Janet Yellen was being asked what she considers the future of the US dollar to be, and before she could answer, the Treasury sign fell off the podium.
And over a longer time horizon, how concerned are you about the potential impact of the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency?
I mean, if that isn't a sign from the universe, I don't know what is. I mean, it happens exactly the right moment. You've got to wonder whether it was staged, whether they did that deliberately. It was such perfect timing. Who knows? Maybe that's a psyop as well, but the US dollar is definitely set to crash. Same as everything else, same as the buildings in Lebanon. They're bombing apartment buildings in the middle of the night in Lebanon.
قصفوا الكولا يا جماعة قصفوا الكولا قصفوا الكولا.
Shutting down all journalism as well. Israel just accused Al Jazeera of being Hamas. They want to shut down anything that is telling the truth. Al Jazeera actually puts out a lot of good information, folks. I don't believe any mainstream news service, but at least Al Jazeera will tell you exactly what is going on in Gaza. At least Al Jazeera covered the story of the Sunnis, both back in 2010 when it happened, the original attack on them, and also their journey down the safe corridor on October 23rd last year. At least we're getting some good information from them. I don't trust any news service, because that's what they're doing, saying, Al Jazeera is Hamas, so we've got to shut down all their offices. And they've targeted more journalists in this war than in any other war in history. There's been more journalists killed in this war, simply by Israel saying, Hamas, Hamas. Hamas base under every child's crib, folks. And now they're using the same plan in Lebanon, saying there's Hezbollah bases under everything. So they're just bombing entire centuries-old cities throughout Lebanon. It's crazy, folks. It's really crazy. And they're already selling blocks of land as well in Gaza. Like, they've gone into Jabalia, and there's a picture of a soldier holding up a real estate sign that they're going to start selling blocks of land. They haven't even exterminated all the people or cleared all the people out yet, but they're doing a good job of exterminating them. Like I said last week, they're actually separating men from all the evacuees, separating all the men, stripping them down to their underwear and putting numbers on their backs. Where have we seen that before? And then they're separating the women from the children. They're putting the children in these holes, which contain about 10 people, you can fit in one hole, and then they're driving around the hole with a tank and squashing all the sand on the children until their bones crack. This is really happening, folks.
The most moral army in the world took children from their mothers and put them in a hole, then circled that hole repeatedly with a tank until the pressure from the sand and dust cracked their bones. Then they took the children and threw them at the mothers, and whoever caught a child was told to move along quickly. This is what the most moral army in the world is doing in Jabalia.
Yeah, she kind of nailed it. That's exactly what's going on. And the ones that die, that don't come out of the hole, Israel just drives the tank over the hole and leaves them buried in there, and then tells people to move along. You know, the level of cruelty. What sort of a mind would even think of doing something like that? Of putting children in a hole and then driving over them with a tank, driving around them until their bones crush, and then driving over them. Hey, Puskin, what are you doing up there? There's another one, folks. A few cats here in the secret garden. Here's this little guy who keeps following me around. He won't let me touch him, but he keeps following me around everywhere. Pretty cool. And this guy here up on the Aztec monument. Interesting stuff. Yeah, but who even thinks of doing this to people? Who had the bright idea? I don't know, let's put them all in a hole and then drive around it with a tank until the sand crushes their bones, and then let's pull them out of the hole with crushed and broken bones and throw them at the adults. And whoever catches one is told to leave, whether it's their child or not. And then you've got these mothers going along and trying to find their own child in amongst a group of mothers that are holding children with broken bones. And then, of course, they've just destroyed the last hospital, so there can be no medical attention for these children. They will die in the most painful manner possible, being starved out. They've blocked off all water, all food, everything to Jabalia, and they're even selling blocks of land. Yeah, and the cruelty of these people. And they admit it. They admit it themselves. There was a funeral the other day for some guy. He's a murderer. He had killed children and all sorts of stuff and got in trouble for it. And he died the other day in Lebanon. And everyone's moaning and wailing. These fucking Jews wailing at this funeral ceremony. And during it, they're saying, you know, what a great guy you were. All you wanted was revenge. You went into Gaza to kill everybody you could. You didn't care. Anybody, men, women, children, anything that moved.
נכנסת לעזה בשביל לנקום כמה שיותר נשים, ילדים, כל מי שעשית, זה מה שרצית. וביום הזה, שנה אחרי שמחת תורה שחשבנו שנטבח באויב, נטבח בכולם, נגרש אותם מפה מהארץ, אנחנו פה בהלוויה שלך, שמים אותך בתוך הקבר.
Yeah, and they're actually saying what a great guy he was because he did this. And another guy was saying he was the light of the party. He was always the bright one. He was only 19, but everyone always wanted to hear what he said. And one day when the mood was low, he went and set fire to a Palestinian home just to, raise the morale.
קשה להאמין איך אתה יושב, ילד בן 22, 20 חבר'ה מבוגרים ממנו בהרבה, שחלקם יכולים להיות ההורים שלו. וכולם מקשיבים לו, מחכים לשמוע מה יש לו להגיד. היית הבן אדם הכי שמח ואופטימי ושטותניק במחלקה. נתקלנו בזה לראשונה בעזה כששרפת הבית בלי אישור בשביל האווירה.
Yeah, incredible, folks. Burnt down a home he was not authorised to burn down just to lift the atmosphere. Because, of course, it wouldn't matter because they intend to burn them all down anyway or bulldoze them anyway, so it doesn't matter, so he may as well do it now. They're telling you right there. I mean, this guy went in there with the express purpose of killing all that he could. Men, women and children. Didn't matter if they're Palestinians, he wanted them dead. And all of this based on this lie of what actually happened on October 7th. And there is every indication that most of the so-called Hamas shootings were faked and that the majority of people were killed by Israel. I mean, I'm sure there was one or two that were kidnapped by Hamas operatives. But who knows, they were probably shot and killed by Israelis on the way back. You just don't know, folks. And Hamas is a direct result of Israel anyway. And now, even now, they're saying, we'll give you a 2-day ceasefire if you release 4 of the hostages. Bibi Netanyahu said, no, I didn't see that offer. If I'd known about it, I would have taken it. But of course he did see it, but he didn't take it because there are no hostages to release. Even if there were any hostages, they've all been bombed by Israel now. You can't drop this many bombs on a place and expect your hostages to survive. And Israel doesn't give a shit about the hostages. Israel would prefer the hostages to die, if there actually even are any, because then it can continue to justify its genocide of Gaza. It will be able to feign outrage. Outrage, we tried everything to get these hostages back and they killed them anyway, so don't try to stop us in what we're doing. We're going to get revenge on these people, when none of them did any of it, folks. The whole thing has been a charade.
بكل الوسائل بيقتلونا في الجوع، بيقتلونا مش قادرين ناكل ولا قادرين نشرب. وحده الله يعلم. قولوا لا اله الا الله ووقفوا الحرب عن غزه. لا اله الا الله، قولوا وقفوا الحرب عن غزه. بكفي قتل، بكفي موت، بكفي العدال وبس. شمال غزه بيموت، شمال غزه عنده الدمر كله، هدمنا موجودين بس. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل. بيقتلوا في الصحافه عشان ما يورجوش للعالم ايش بيصير عنا. ليش؟ بندافع انا ليش بيعملوا هيك فينا؟ ايش اللي بدهم اياه؟ بدهم يموتونا على الفاضي، كل يوم حيطلع فلسطينيه. احنا حلنا الوحيد، احنا مدنيين بدنا السلام والحريه وبس. بدنا السلام والحريه بس. افهموا الكلام هذا.
Israel cooked this whole thing up themselves because that's what Israel does.
The highest death toll in United Nations history, and the deaths of tens of thousands of civilians, including women and children. And this is not being done in secret. The entire world is watching, and the global south in particular is appalled. The question remains, if innocent civilians, including women, children, and United Nations staff, were being killed at this record rate in the developed world, how would the world's big powers have reacted? Not likely with euphemisms and platitudes. The double standards and continued resourcing of these ongoing violations of international law send a chilling message to the global south. And that message is this: there are some powerful people in this world who are of the view that a Palestinian child is less worthy of defense, protection, food, water, and life than another child. I am not of that view. The people of my country are not of that view. CARICOM is not of that view. And decent people all over the world, including in Israel, are not of that view.
Israel is a country that was founded on terrorism and is built entirely upon lies. They've been able to get away with it through the lie of the Holocaust. And as I showed you on the last report, most of the Jewish people didn't even have tattoos in the camps, and those that did have tattoos, these tattoos were generally about their blood type and about their health issues, and they would provide valuable information to their captors in case they had any problems. There's also a report that came out, a document that was found, written and signed by Sinwar, saying that he commands that all Jewish hostages be treated with respect and treated well. They didn't tell you about that. Of course, they don't tell you about any of that sort of stuff. So there probably were some hostages, but any that were there have long since been bombed and killed by Israeli forces, folks, because they don't give a shit about their own forces. They don't give a shit about the Israeli people. What they care about is establishing Greater Israel and destroying all the Palestinians and claiming the entire land for themselves. That's all they care about, folks. And if you tell a lie often enough, it sort of almost becomes truth. And you'll find that a lot of people are starting to even believe this themselves. All of the Israelis that are spreading this bullshit probably know it's bullshit. But after a year of telling themselves this same lie and repeating the story over and over again, they even believe their own lies now. That's how fucking demented these people are. And they've infiltrated everywhere, folks. They've infiltrated all of our governments, all of our systems, all of our media worldwide. It's what the EU's all about. It's what, you know, America is a Zionist state. America is completely controlled by Israel. It's basically a proxy state of Israel. And that's just the way it is, folks. And it has been for quite some time. This place seems to be coming along pretty well, folks, all things considered. Could be someone living in the house here, so I won't go up there. Actually, I think someone is living in the house. Someone who's been coming for, hey bro, someone who's been coming for treatment on the Tesla machine, actually, that Jeff gave me. We're having some pretty good results with the Tesla machine, folks. Still hasn't got my arthritis, but I've been feeling really good. I had a couple of skin tags as well that are drying up and dropping off from, I guess, the use of the Tesla machine. The guy that I'm treating has got Bell's palsy. And he didn't have the jab, folks. He's got Bell's palsy because he was doing I think some Taekwondo training or something like that. And someone held him in a chokehold for a little bit too long. He says he should have tapped out a little bit earlier, but he didn't. And he developed Bell's palsy from it. There's a squirrel up there in the tree. Oh, he's gone. Gee, they're quick. Very quick. But I've been treating him as well, and he's starting to get the lines come back on the top of his brow, which is good. And he said he's noticing a slight difference, but yeah, Bell's palsy might take a few treatments, but I'll let you know how that goes as well. Very interesting, these Tesla machines, folks. I'm beginning to think that what Jeff's been saying about them is actually pretty spot on. I've got another guy who lives in a house with me who's been using it as well. He said he's noticed an incredible difference, clarity. He came in the other day with a bad neck. He'd put his neck out, jumped on the Tesla machine for 15 minutes, and then his neck was fine. So interesting stuff, folks, interesting stuff. Fireworks. And if you do want to get one, there'll be a link below. The website is tesla.club, TZLA.club. And if you want to get one, they're actually quite expensive, but if you do want to get one, again, you can use my name, the coupon, Igan, and you'll get yourself $500 off, which is a pretty good savings. So if you're thinking about getting one, folks, check it out. And if you're going to get one, I would suggest you probably do it pretty quickly, because who knows what's going to happen to this world over the next few months. I mean, things are getting very, very strange, folks. Very strange indeed. And the world is just messed up. It's so messed up. People's minds are messed up now. You know, relationships are falling apart. Nobody knows what they want in life. Everybody's fucked up on porn, you know, which is all, of course, run by the people with small hats. They did all this stuff. That's why they were kicked out of Germany in 1933. That's why Hitler didn't like them, because what they were doing to the morals of Germany. All the book burnings that we hear about, how Hitler burned all these books. Hitler burned all these books because they were all like LGBTQ stuff. They were all pornography. They were transgenderism. The first transgender operations actually happened in Germany, I think in the 1920s, being done by Jewish people. Now, they've been trying this for a while. They were literally destroying the moral value of Germany, and that's why Hitler wanted them removed, which is why he moved most of the Jews out of Germany in 1933 in the transfer agreement. There weren't even enough Jews in all of Europe for the 6 million figure we're given for the Holocaust to be real. There weren't that many Jews in all of Europe, let alone Germany, especially when Hitler moved around 200,000 Jews out of Germany in 1933. Because in 1933, Judea declared war on Germany because Hitler had banned all foreign business interests. If you wanted to have a business in Germany, you had to be German, because he wanted the money to stay with the German people. He wanted the morale to stay with the German people. He wanted the German people to be free, to be German, to create their own things and their own stuff and just be who they are. And that's why he kicked them out, because the Jews were stopping any of that happening. They were taking over everything. So he threw them out. So Judea declared war on Germany in 1933, and within 6 months they had succeeded in crippling the German economy by blocking all Jewish-controlled trade to Germany, which shows just how much they were in control of the world even back then. And that's when Hitler implemented the transfer agreement and said, look, just get out of here. And he sent them all down to Palestine with all their assets, and also gave them the equivalent of $100 million in Deutschmarks. And that provided the funding and the financial stability and even the population for what would become the State of Israel in 1948. So, and nothing we're told about this guy is true. Even like Germany invaded Poland. Germany tried everything it could. Hitler tried everything he could to prevent his incursions into Poland, but the Polish simply wouldn't stop killing German people. And remember, after World War I, which Germany didn't start, and somehow they were forced to be blamed upon and pay restitution for, in the Treaty of Versailles after World War I, they just sliced off sections of Germany and gave some to Poland and some to other countries. And in the 1930s, the Polish started ethnically cleansing the German people in those regions. And Hitler's going, well, hang on, look, these are German people. And this is Germany anyway, because the treaties of Versailles was a complete fraud. It was a joke. You simply stole half our country and gave it to somebody else, and now you're killing the German people who lived there for centuries, generations. And he tried everything he could to stop it happening. And eventually he just said, well, I've got to go in and fix this problem. And even the people of Germany were urging him to do so. You know, how come you're letting all these German people get killed and you're not doing anything about it? Because they're essentially in Germany, you know? Regardless of where the UN or the Allies put the border, it's still Germany as far as the German people were concerned. So he went in and he stopped it. And then there was the whole outcry, Hitler has invaded Poland and blah, blah, blah. And you know, the rest is history. Well, fabricated history anyway. And as for the Holocaust, you know, no one ever heard of the Holocaust until 1972. If it happened in World War II, why wasn't there outrage straight away? Why was it that it wasn't until, I think, what's the name? Elie Wiesel put out his book, and then the first movies started being created, to talk about the Holocaust, and then Anne Frank's diary and all this sort of stuff. None of this came about until the 1970s, folks. Before then, there was no mention of any Holocaust. Why did it take so long? Because it didn't happen. And an interesting thing is that everything that the Jews are saying about the Holocaust and everything they're saying happened in World War II is what they have planned for the world now. I mean, I showed you on the last video report the plan, which has now been approved by the Biden administration, to send mercenaries to Palestine and set up humanitarian bubbles, they call them. These are essentially concentration camps, like the Warsaw Ghetto. They're literally setting up the Warsaw Ghetto in Gaza. The Holocaust that they spoke about, which didn't happen in World War II, they're holocausting Gaza. They intend to do this as well to Lebanon. They're not going to stop with Lebanon, folks. They're bombing southern villages at the moment, saying they're creating a buffer zone. You watch, there will be reaction to this, because essentially they're stealing land. They're going to take out the southern villages because they're Hezbollah strongholds, and they intend to station Israeli troops there to make sure that no weapons are being built and stashed and whatever excuse they can. Essentially, they're occupying southern Lebanon. Big swathes of southern Lebanon, folks. And of course the Lebanese are going to push back against this. So of course Israel is going to say, well, obviously there's still more Hezbollah, so we need to go and bomb more areas and take over more land. The plan is to take over all of Lebanon, because as far as the Israelis are concerned, they think it's theirs.
ואין מצב שאנחנו לא נגרש אותם הטמאים האלה שהם מחללים יום ויום את הר הבית ואת ירושלים מכל מקום שהם דוחים. אנחנו נגרש אותם מפה. בואו נגמור את העבודה, אנחנו רוצים לגמור את העבודה.
You know, they've made bombing Gaza into a tourist attraction. As I showed you, they're literally taking out ships and party goers onto boats at night to watch the bombing of Gaza and pick where on the beach they would like to live.
Just on the other side of the border, some Israelis are already plotting to move into the land that's being evacuated. The war in Gaza has now become a twisted kind of tourist attraction for these families of Israel's right-wing settlers. They pose for pictures. Family smiles with Gaza smouldering in the background.
If you could give a message to people in Gaza now, what would you say to them?
To the Arabs, she says, go away. The people holding this map are from the Nahala settler movement, a minority group, but vocal, and with friends in Netanyahu's coalition government. This man's wearing a t-shirt that says Gaza delende est, Gaza must be destroyed. This lady tells us she has a son currently serving there in the IDF.
From here we can see the bombs coming down on the people of Gaza. What do you want for them?
Yes, but they brought it for themselves. I think they're all Hamas.
Your plan is to settle Gaza and take the land for Israel. What would happen to the people of Gaza?
They can live in Egypt. They have a lot of places.
Children are given bubbles to watch the bombings, and they get books teaching Israel's right to take more land, even from Lebanon. But first, they want Gaza.
You want to expel the Palestinian people from Gaza?
All the world love them.
they can bring ships and take them to their countries.
Yeah. You don't want them. You want to settle Gaza, but you don't want Palestinians there.
Yeah, it's just insane, folks, what this country is doing. And this is what's coming to the rest of the world. See, they told us what they were doing with the World War II narrative, because most of the World War II narrative is completely built on lies, folks. But when you think about it, the concentration camps, the extermination camps, which is what Gaza is. People say it's an open-air prison, and I've often said that myself. It's an open-air prison. No, what it is an extermination camp. It's not a concentration camp even. It's an extermination zone. I've said before, is what you see in Gaza and West Bank, what you see in Palestine is a system of warehousing and surplusing human beings. The warehousing is the West Bank, the surplusing is Gaza. And now they're getting rid of the surplus. That's what they're doing. They don't consider them human beings, and they don't consider anybody who isn't a Jew to be a human being. And they tell you this themselves.
All place in the world that we will occupy in a war, milchemet mitzvah. We go to a war, we occupy. Let's say we occupy Lebanon. And over there there's idol worshipping places. We have the same obligation to destroy it. Why? Because now we live there. We occupy the place. We occupy the place. The Torah say, "Uviar ta'ara mikirbecha." Don't leave anything, any idols among you. So every place that you live in, and now you the original owner of the place now, you the new owner I should say, from now on you have the same obligation to purify the place from all the idols. Because it's against the Torah. Remember, it's not what's good for me or not.
Yeah, they're very open about it, folks. And what I was saying before about the depravity, about what's happened to the West. I don't know whether you saw it the other day. There's a girl who posted a video of the aftermath of her sleeping, having sex with, getting run through, as she liked to put it, by 101 men in 14 hours.
I went viral for letting 23 guys run a train on me with my friend Bonnie. Now, that video is actually out now, so if you want to check that out, you know where to go. But if you want to be a part of the next one, I'm actually doing 100 guys in one day. So head on over to my Twitter to find out how to apply. Morning, so today is the day where I get run through by 100 guys. How many condoms I have, for fuck's sake. I think this is all I'm going to do with my hair and makeup today. Just a bit of bronzer and a bit of blush. I'm running a little bit late, I think. But it'll be totally fine because the boys can't start without me. Oh, not looking too bad. I'm almost there now. I'll be off to a little bit of a late start, but that's fine. I've got time to make it back up.
Hello. How are you doing? How's it going so far? Good. How many are we on?
I think only 8.
8 guys?
Only 8, not
You enjoying
not
yourself?
Yeah, I am actually. First group scene done. That was a lot of fun. And now I'm on to number 16. Currently 7 PM, about, I'd say, I think about 70 people through. This is what the room is looking like, not in the best state. We've kind of got things everywhere. Someone brought me a rose. Oh my God, I forgot to vlog this. Someone brought me a fucking rose. He was the sweetest boy ever. Got ran through by 101 men, and my eyes are still recovering from all the bodily fluids that went in them. So yesterday I got ran through by 101 guys. Don't mind this, someone actually bit my lip. But last night I didn't end up having a shower. Well, I didn't wash my hair in the shower. Just because I was too tired. But I want to show you guys the aftermath of what it's like to get ran through by that many guys in one day. I feel like I've been hit by a bus. I am so achy. It went on for how many hours? We went from 9 AM till about 11 PM I think it was.
Interesting that someone could do that and She's saying it's because of my last viral video. She's doing this so she can get viral videos. This is what the world's become. I mean, the mentality, I mean, she looks like a nice looking girl, like a decent young woman. And she's going and doing this, and now she's planning on doing more. She wants to do 1,000 guys in a week or something. Like, and that's what making love and reproduction and having intimacy with someone that you love has become. Just getting run through by as many guys as possible. What's caused this? What's caused this shift in human consciousness, folks? I mean, you know, it's become ridiculous just to have people even doing that sort of stuff because they want a viral video. I mean, what can you say about this race, folks? You know, and here you are trying to wake people up and alert them to what's happening. And this is the sort of stuff they're doing. I mean, and getting back to what I was saying before about the Samuni family, I mean, I was going to finish, but back in 2010, when Israel invaded Gaza in Operation Cast Lead, and again, think about the sheer psychopathy of even that title name, you know, Cast Lead. Just cover the place in bullets, kill everybody that you can. Incredible. But with the Samuni family, they killed 43 family members in one day. What they did, they went in there, they just took over the whole street, Samuni Street. It's a farming family, like I said. They've got 69 acres there, just south of Gaza City, and they're farmers. They're not a threat to anybody, they're just farmers. They had a little shop front at the start of the street, and the rest of it was just farmland and a few houses that held the family. There was about 100 family members at the time, maybe just over 100. They walked into the main house there and they immediately said, "Who's the landowner?" And the man stood up and walked forward, and they shot him between the eyes and in the chest straight away, immediately. Didn't say anything, just shot him in the head and in the chest. And then when he fell to the ground, they riddled his body with bullets in front of the whole family. While this was happening, there were soldiers going through the house. They went into the main bedroom, they dragged all the furniture from the main bedroom, the bed, the cupboards, anything like that, and piled it all in the center of the room and smashed it all up. And then they ordered the family to go into that room and sit on the floor around the walls, circling the big pile of trash they just created in the center. They'd also scribbled graffiti all over the walls, like "Death to Arabs" and "Make war not peace," and all sorts of stuff they'd scribbled on the walls just to intimidate them. Then they lit a bonfire in the room. They started burning all the furniture. They went outside the room and they shot their machine guns through the windows so nobody could stand up and nobody could leave the room. Zanat, the mother, was in there, and I've met Zanat, I've spoken to her. She related the story to me herself. And when it finally got to the point that they were lying on the floor choking because of the smoke, the soldiers finally let them out. When they went outside, they told Zanat that she couldn't go with the children, she couldn't go with the rest of the family. They told the family to all go into one big room and ordered all the people out of all the other houses to go into this one building for safety. But they told Zanat she couldn't go. She had to go and stay at her relation's place or something down the road. She went in there and they were all dead. They'd all been killed in that house. And then she remembered her youngest child, Ahmed, was in the shop. He was being looked after by the guys that were running the shop. So she went there to find him. They said, "Don't worry about him, he's okay, you just look after yourself." And she demanded to see him. They finally brought him out. He'd been shot once in the head and twice in the chest by Israeli soldiers, but he was still alive. He'd been shot in a way that would keep him alive and have him die slowly, because these people know what they're doing. She was hugging him. She walked outside. She tried to get an ambulance, but the Israelis wouldn't let her go find an ambulance. They just kept shooting and firing in the air and shooting at things. Every time a bullet would fire, Ahmed would tense up and more blood would pump from his wounds. She carried him around for 12 or 14 hours before they would actually let her to get to an ambulance, and she ended up carrying him to the ambulance, and he died in her arms just before she got to the ambulance. Then they wouldn't let her back into Samuni Street to be with the rest of the family. The family, they'd all hoarded into this one building for safety. And what they did was they then shelled that building with 3 rockets. They killed 43 family members in about 2 minutes. They left them there in the rubble for 4 days. Children lying in the rubble along with their dead and blown up relatives all around them, their mothers, their brothers, their sisters. If the children ever came out waving white flags, the Israelis would shoot at them. This building here is the building that the Samuni family was held in. And they were hit by Israeli rockets. They hoarded 100 people into this building. They held them there. Then they bombarded the building with rockets and they dropped bombs in the yard surrounding the building. This was the playground there where you can see my friend sitting. 4 days they were in this building lying in the rubble. No food, no water, no heating, no electricity. They would come out waving white flags and the Israelis were on top of all of these buildings that you can see here. They had secured the entire area and they were on top of these buildings, and when the children came out waving white flags, the Israelis would shoot at them. This is the reality of life in Gaza. One Israeli child that had died outside, been shot by the forces earlier, they propped him up on a rock and they used him for target practice for those 4 days and literally put hundreds of bullets into this little child's body, just for the fun of it. Yeah, they do this sort of stuff for fun, like that video before of that guy saying he set fire to a house just to lift the atmosphere because morale was low. This is the mentality of these people. And I went to Gaza in 2012. I built a schoolroom out of that same building, the one that was shelled, the one that everybody died in. I turned it into a schoolroom for the Samuni family because the children that had been involved in it are too traumatized to go to a normal school, and they wanted to learn to read and write. They wanted to learn like other children. So I built the schoolroom for them. Of course, all that has been destroyed and demolished now. The pictures I showed you before of the Samuni family after they'd been forced to go south, the young girl Noor, what she actually looks like now. You know, there's so much pain on her face. This was a beautiful young child that I met in 2012. It's been horrendous that I haven't been able to go back there. I tried so many times to go back there. I had an open ticket for nearly 2 years. Open ticket from Cairo to Australia. I kept extending it for over 2 years until it got to the point, well, no, it's obvious that I'm not going to be able to get back in there. So I cancelled the ticket. This is the sort of stuff they do. Burying children under buildings, burying children in holes and then driving around the holes with a tank, pulling out any children that are alive and just throwing them at adults and telling them to leave with that child or they'll get shot. You know, that's what they were doing at the checkpoints as well. Like, they kidnapped the 3 brothers from the Samuni family and then told them to go forward, and if any of them turned around they would be shot. There was one guy who has mental disabilities. He did actually turn his head half around and they shot him in the stomach. So they're serious about all this sort of stuff, and like they said, yeah, well, you go south, we'll come and get you later, which is exactly what they've done. The way they've destroyed the last hospital and kidnapped all the medical staff. Who does that, folks? Who does that? Who thinks up that sort of a plan? What sort of a mind would do that to people? It's pure psychopathy. These people are evil. They're demons. There's been talk of that there's some of them that actually are demons. Like I showed you recently, the Tengu from Japanese mythology, of the demons, the mischievous demons who wore little boxes on their heads. You've got to wonder whether this isn't the Israeli people, because they certainly seem like that. And because of the actions of these people, the world is really turning pear-shaped rather rapidly, folks. I mean, everything that's happened through COVID, the vaccine damage, and by the way, there's still a site, there's a channel on BitChute called the Kurgan report, where this guy has been meticulously posting, like every day, every week, new vaccine information from the VAERS website and from other websites, cataloguing the vaccine damage that's happening, folks. This guy's done an excellent job. If you can support this guy's channel in any way, I really recommend that you do so. And also Matt on Substack, who actually commented in my Telegram channel the other day. I saw a comment and then I kind of kept scrolling and it disappeared before I could get back to it. But the job that he's done of exposing the AI creation of many of these videos, these alleged Hamas videos of all these people being randomly shot by Hamas, these all appear to be fake, folks. This is outstanding research, and if you can support this guy on his Substack, please do so. And please go and check out the Kurgan report if you want anything, any information about vaccine damage. This guy's done a meticulous job. He's been sitting there like for 3 years, ever since this scamdemic started, like 3.5, maybe nearly 4 years, just sitting there meticulously going through the VAERS website and posting vaccine data. And he's done us all an incredible service, folks, because this is all catalogued now. It's all there. It's all documented. And what Matt's done on Substack by revealing this is stuff you'll never see on the mainstream media. They will never talk about it. I guarantee you, even if you sent this information to mainstream media channels, they wouldn't report on any of it. Unless if you send it maybe to someone like Press TV or Al Jazeera, they may report on it. In fact, it would be a good way of testing their integrity. Good way of testing any news service's integrity as to who actually wants to report on the information that Matt has revealed on his Substack page about how the shooting videos are fake. It's very compelling information, folks, and again, I'll put a link below where you can go and check it out. Too many discrepancies that you wouldn't see if the videos were real, and again, not CGI, different to CGI, but actually AI created. And there's certain glitches you can look for which will reveal AI creation of a video. Dragonfly world here today, folks, incredible. And Matt's gone through it all on that Substack report. It's very compelling, folks. I urge you to go and check it out and spread the information as far and wide as you can. But yeah, that's about all I wanted to say. Like I said, I was going to finish a little while ago, but I'm still going. I was going to bring you a video earlier, but we've had just so much stuff going on at home. You know, power blackouts and just crap. It's been ridiculous, really. But that's the way it goes. Now, I wanted to get one done today because tomorrow is actually my birthday. So I want to have a day off. I think I've got an interview scheduled for tomorrow. I don't know whether I'll do it or whether I'll cancel. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Just see. But yeah, my birthday tomorrow, folks. I really don't feel as old as I am, but I seem to be getting old. Funny how that works. What did John Lennon say? Life is what happens while you're planning other things. Never a truer word was spoken, folks. And it's interesting, isn't it? You know, we go through life, we've got all these plans, we want to do all this, we have all these dreams about stuff, and then suddenly we look in the mirror and go, wow, I guess I'm old now. It just kind of happens while you're planning other things. People have all these dreams of what they want to do in life. And then they say, well, I can't because of this, and I can't because of that, and they put all of their own obstacles in place as to why they can't do it, when actually they could just sort of pack up and go and do it. But they never really want to consider that option. Oh no, I can't do this, I've got too many bills, I've got this, I've got that. Bills, that's how our world works, folks. Puts you in a state of permanent self-generating debt. I've been lucky, like I turn 67 tomorrow, and I've managed to get through 67 years of life without ever registering to vote, ever filling out a tax form, and I have no debt. I've never owned a credit card in my entire life. I've got a debit card, but I've got to actually put money in the account to use it, and the only thing I've ever used it for is buying airline tickets online or buying computer parts from Amazon or something. You want to ask me why I'm using Amazon? Well, I'm in Mexico, folks. There's some things you simply can't get here unless you buy them through Amazon, like tea bags, for example. So I've managed to get through all my life without any debt. And all the things we strive to do business-wise and all that sort of stuff. You know, I can travel around the world and not pay for any accommodation anywhere I go if I want to. I've got friends all around the world that are more than happy to have me come and stay and actually encourage me to please come and stay. And I've done this. I've managed to be as successful as I've been, and I'm not rich or anything, but you know, I mean, I get enough to get by, thanks to you guys now, because obviously they closed all my bank accounts down and all other means I had of support when I left Australia. But I've managed to do all this simply by being the best version of myself that I can possibly be, by giving as much as I can to people. You know, when I find someone in hardship, someone in need, I try to give them. I try to help them out. I try to work it out for them, help them step onto a better path in life. I've always tried to perform in a really selfless manner. Admittedly, I wasn't always like this. I used to be quite selfish when I was younger. I used to wonder why I didn't have money, why I couldn't succeed, why I couldn't get anything done that I wanted to do. I actually felt like a lesser person because I couldn't sit down and have mundane conversations about the weather with people. I actually talked about stuff that meant something, and people used to say I used to bring the mood down because I was talking about real stuff. I wasn't just talking about frivolous bullshit about who's dating who and you know, who's up who and who's paying. I mean, it's ridiculous, you know. And I actually felt like I was a lesser person for many years. And I could never succeed, I could never do this, I could never do that because I put all of these obstacles in my way. As soon as you tell yourself you can never succeed, you can never get anything done that you want to do, you'll never be able to go the places you want to go or do the things you want to do, you create that reality yourself. That's how it works, folks. You should be very careful about anything you say about yourself. Even if you say, I am sick, I'm not feeling well today. Words are spells. You're talking yourself into it. When I get up and I'm a little tired sometimes, and I just think, I'm a little tired, I better do something about that. I better go do some exercise or jump on the Tesla machine or whatever. You know, we create these realities ourselves, and I did that. I was my own worst enemy for decades, folks. It wasn't until I was maybe like 40 years old that I actually woke up to myself and realized that life is an emotional mirror. Life is an emotional mirror, and you literally create the reality that you're involved in. You literally create your own reality. Admittedly, there are external forces that do that as well, like what's going on in Gaza and Lebanon, and there's a massive genocide, and Israel flexing its muscles and basically doing its big move to take over the world, because that's what this is, folks. And like Israel said, you know, they want to destroy the United Nations, and there's all the talk of this now. I mean, they declared UNWRA, the Palestinian aid organisation, they declared them a Hamas terrorist organisation, and they've said they should be banned from the UN. This is a UN agency, and you've got a UN member state saying you need to ban this particular UN agency because they're terrorists. It's unprecedented for a nation, a member nation, to call for the banning of a UN subsidiary. And Israel's arguing as well, it's unprecedented for the UN to be funding a terrorist organisation, but they're not a terrorist organisation, they're simply people that aren't supporting the genocide of Palestine and recognising that the Palestinians are actually a people, because the Israelis say these aren't even a people, there are no Palestinians. Stop calling them Palestinians, because there are no Palestinians, there never was any Palestinians. They're trying to erase history. Netflix has just deleted 30 Palestinian documentaries from its catalogue, folks, trying to erase all existence of Palestinian history. If you're a Netflix subscriber, cancel your subscription, folks. You can download all Netflix movies as torrents in places anyway. You don't need to actually participate in Netflix to watch their movies. You can find them all online without paying a Netflix subscription. I watch Netflix things all the time if it's a movie I want to see. I don't have a Netflix subscription. If you're a Netflix subscriber, cancel your subscription, folks. Send a message to them. Just tell them I'm cancelling because I don't support genocide. And they obviously do. And they support the erasure of the history of an entire race of people. I mean, yeah, so there's stuff externally that's going on, but how much did we create that anyway? How much did we create the situation that's going on in Gaza and now in Lebanon? How much did we create this Jewish supremacist ideology that's taking over the world by our apathy to it and our failure to address it for so many years? All this talk of God's chosen people. No, they're not. They're Satan's chosen people. If they were chosen by any God, it certainly wasn't any God that would be classed as a God, because there isn't any God that is this vicious and this brutal that would allow this sort of stuff to happen to his children. So it's important to re-examine how much we are involved in this, folks. And like I said, anybody out there who's got a channel on BitChute, on YouTube, Substack, Reddit, Rumble, anybody who has got a good channel with a large subscriber base who is not talking about the genocide of Gaza is complicit in this genocide. And all these people out there claiming it's fake, these are Zionist shills, folks. They're either completely brain-dead morons or they are directly being paid by Israel to publish propaganda and fake news. And we're given so many rabbit holes and so many things, like I said, you know, black against white. Is the earth round or flat? Are nukes real or are they fake? So many things to argue about, and we don't know. We don't know the answer to any of them. I put out a video a few years ago called Everything is a Lie. And I postulated in that video that the reality is that nobody knows what the reality is. That's the truth. The truth is that nobody knows what the truth is. And that's the truth that nobody is prepared to admit. Sure, we know some truths, we know some things, but when it comes to the bigger picture, most people are willfully ignorant or they're caught up in their own belief systems. They're not prepared to look at everything objectively and just stand back and look at the whole picture and put it all on the table and let the cards fall where they may. They've too much invested in being right because of some of the stuff they've put out there before and some of the claims they've made. That's why I make very few claims, folks. You know, and claiming the Holocaust in Gaza is real, you could say that's a claim. Really, it's an observation. A lot of people who are saying it's fake and all this sort of stuff, they forget I've actually got friends in Gaza. The Samudi family are my friends. My friend Nadal, he is my friend. I'm in contact with these people. I talk to these people. I talk to them on video. I see the conditions that they're being forced to live in. This is not a fake Holocaust, folks, not a fake genocide. And the interesting thing, like I said before, is that they told us their plan in their World War II narrative. I mean, the Holocaust is fake. The Jewish Holocaust is fake. But when you look at that, when you look at the claims that were made, the incredibly brutal tortures we're told about, none of which actually happened. But when you look at these claims that were made, and you look at the Warsaw Ghetto, and you look at some of the things they claim happened, now we're seeing this unfold in Palestine today. It's like they told us the scenario of what they intended to do. I might just pause till I get past these guys unloading metal from this truck, folks. It's a little noisy, so I'll just pause the video while I get past this truck, and then I'll rejoin you. You never know what you're going to come across in Mexico, folks. One of the beauties of the place. But yeah, I mean, they told us everything they intend to do. You know, all of the polarization that's happened through this Trump election, all the polarization that's happened through this Israeli attack, and of course claiming it's the victim while it's attacking everybody around it. All of this has been done deliberately. All of the numbing of the people's senses through all the violence in the movies and things. I mean, look at Game of Thrones. We saw next level brutality, violence and torture in Game of Thrones. It was a great series, admittedly. There was fantastic storytelling. Very well produced, except for the last season, which was a complete shambles. But what it achieved in doing was bringing graphic violence to your home television. You didn't have to go to a movie to see it. It wasn't an R-rated movie or anything like that. I don't even know if any of the Game of Thrones episodes were R-rated. But there was certainly a lot of R-rated violence in these movies. But you could put a dragon in there, and you could put princes and princesses in there and all that sort of stuff. You'd get away with it. But what it did, through a lot of the movies and a lot of the TV series, as it has numbed people to graphic violence. We've had videos posted all over Twitter of the most brutal kind. A young girl looked like she was about 7 or 8 with her whole bottom jaw literally hanging off like meat, swinging from the bottom of her face. These aren't rubber babies. This isn't fake, folks. Children trapped under rubble. Children with the most horrendous wounds. Children with arms and legs missing. Having amputations without anaesthetic. All sorts of stuff that's been going on, and people just become numb to it. This stuff's been posted all over Twitter for the last year. Or all over X. Sorry, Elon. For the last year. So we've become numb to all this sort of stuff. And this is what they intend to do to the West, folks. Make no mistake. This is what they intend to do. I said on the last video, things are about to get really weird. And you should hedge your bets. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Get your support groups happening around you. If you haven't got a support group, or I don't know, just support yourself, work it out. I've had emails from people, I've had 2 or 3 emails from people who sound quite desperate as well, who saying, look, Max, I feel trapped, I don't know what to do. I want to go somewhere, I'm not waking people up around me, I'm not seeing awake people. The country's getting more and more totalitarian, and I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go in the world where I will be safe. The thing is, I don't know that there is anywhere safe in the world, folks. I mean, even here in Mexico, I like it here. But if things were to turn pear-shaped, like in the next week, I honestly don't know what I'd do. I don't have a large support group around me here. I mean, I've got Jeff, but Jeff lives miles away. He lives like 14 hours drive from me or something, like ridiculous. He lives a long way away. I don't have any support group around me here. And if things were to turn really pear-shaped, I quite frankly would prefer to be in my home country, Australia. Regardless of how totalitarian the government is, I know the lie of the terrain there. I know how to walk into the bush and survive by myself, if I have to. I know where to go forage for food. I mean, I know my own country. And if it's gotten to this late stage and you're still wondering what you should do, I would say, like I said on the last report, stock up on food, get yourself ready. Hopefully something good will happen, but if it doesn't, be prepared. Be prepared and be able to just sort of walk away from the whole thing and survive by your own wits as best you may. I honestly believe that when things really turn radical, people are going to be better off with their own tribe, with the people that they know. I mean, even if things do go completely totalitarian, you'll probably find that a lot of your countrymen that weren't listening to you for the last few years will probably start listening to you, because it's going to come to them. They're going to see it unfolding around them, and it's getting to the point where it can't really be denied. If things turn really radical with Israel, I mean, if nukes are real and Israel decides to implement the Samson option, that could go very bad for everybody involved, which includes everybody on this earth. And if that happens, I mean, I would prefer to be with my own tribe when that happens. So that's really all I can say about all that, folks. I mean, it's up to you. Look within your heart. You know what you should do. You know where you should go. Don't come here and expect to be able to hang out with me and look at, I'm going to look after you or anything like that, because I'm having a hard time even looking after myself in this situation. So, it's kind of might turn into every man for himself. And in that situation, well, you just got to be ready for it. It's mentally stimulating anyway, And And really, you know, if you're equipped with enough life skills to be able to build a shelter and forage for food, then you're going to be far better equipped than most of the other people. And, you know, as much as I like electricity and I like the internet and I like all the mod cons, it's, I still don't have anything to fear. I'm not fearful of the impending collapse of this slavery system. What's going to make it really bad is if all the sheeple out there kind of walk into the chipping and the silicon chipping and all that sort of stuff. I mean, Elon's really running out his neural network and all that sort of stuff, his neural mesh, neural link, whatever it's called. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that, and I certainly won't be doing that. It's going to be, you know, dependent upon whether the people, the sheeple, kind of drag us into the reality that they're going along with, which Trump is going to usher in as well. It's been very sobering to see the amount of support this guy's been getting, and he's just going to destroy the United States. But hey, what option have you got? What, vote for Kamala? She's a moron and she's a district attorney. Never vote for a district attorney. These people are brutal. That's how her claim to fame. I mean, she was a district attorney. She put more black people behind bars than just about any other district attorney, and yet everybody says that she's, you know, they're supporting black people. No, she's not. So, you know, you've really got to look at this, folks. I mean, voting is a waste of time. It's a selection. They're just going to put in who they want to go in, and I think who they want to go in is going to be Trump. And that's going to see a massive escalation in the war. It's going to see bad things happen to the United States. So just hedge your bets, folks. Get prepared for what's coming and look after yourself. I mean, that's all I can really say. There's no point coming to see me here. I probably won't even be here. Who knows where I'll be? I'm going to get away from all these noise and dogs and chickens and shit, folks. I don't even know where I'll be. So, you know, I'm just kind of playing things by ear, day by day, as I go along. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. It's getting kind of dark and there's lots of mosquitoes coming out. So I'm going to head indoors where we've got some air conditioning. It's still incredibly hot. It's like 6 o'clock or 6:30 now. And it's incredibly hot still. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, thank you to all the people who are speaking out. Thank you to all the people who send me kind emails. Thank you to all the people who've been putting up with such long absences from me as well. Like I said, I've been having electrical issues and dog issues, as you can hear, and all sorts of stuff. So it's been very difficult for me to get as many videos done as I want. And every time I'm away from a video for like 5 or 6 days, there's so much stuff happens, I don't even know what to talk about half the time. But thank you to all the people who support me. Thank you to anybody who's ever made a contribution to the website. Thank you to all the people who keep this message going. And more than anything, thank you to the people out there on the front line making an effort. Thank you to every single person who is covering and continuing to cover this genocide in Palestine and what Israel is doing. Israel is basically going to war against the whole world, folks. This is a war on everybody, and make no mistake of that. They managed to infiltrate all of our countries. There's vast numbers of them. There's far more than 15 million, like they say. They're not 0.02% of the world population. No way. They're not 2% of the American population. No way. These people are everywhere. You know, they say there's 15.7 million Jews in the world now. Well, there were 16.7 million Jews in the world in 1948. So how did that suddenly reduce by 1 million Jews? It didn't. They've been breeding like rabbits and they're everywhere and they've infiltrated everything. This is why they're making their big move for Greater Israel now, and their big move to take over the UN. That's why they're saying the UN is racist, it's homophobic, it's anti-Semitic. You know, they're saying all this sort of stuff because Israel wants to take over the United Nations with Israel at the top. Israel wants to run the world because they are the chosen people, and anybody who doesn't support that will be seen as the enemy. They've got control of the banking system, they've got control of all of our politicians, which is why so many countries are going along with this, and it's pretty easy to see where this is going, folks. So take heed, be prepared, and just get strong enough to stand on your own. Again, get one of these Tesla machines if that's what it's going to take. Again, link below. You can use my coupon to save yourself $500. I am having some good results from it. So, and everybody that I'm treating with it is having good results as well, so that does stand for something. But just be prepared for what's coming, folks, because a storm is definitely coming. Apart from all the people we're going to see die of vaccine damage over the next year, which is already happening. Again, go and check the Kurgan Report BitChute channel and check out some of the stuff this guy's been doing. And I urge you to share that Substack of Matt's with as many people as you can, because there is clear evidence of AI manipulation, AI creation. A lot of these alleged Hamas videos. Everything Israel does is a lie, folks. The whole nation is founded on deception. The IDF was founded from the merging of three named terror organizations in the 30s. Igan, Haganah and the Stern Gang are the three. These were named as terrorist organizations by the British back in the 1930s, and they all merged to become the Israeli Defense Force, which isn't a defense force. It's an offense force, it's an occupation army, and far from being the most moral army on earth, it is the most sadistic, well-funded terrorist force the world has ever known. That's what the Israeli Defense Force is, folks. It's got nothing to do with defense. It's about attacking, extermination, depopulation. That's what Israel does best, folks. And you look at the Mossad motto, by way of deception, we shall do war. And that's exactly what they're doing, folks. It's what they're doing now, and that's what they continue to do. And as I've said, a good rule of thumb with any report that you see coming from Israel is to understand that every accusation is a confession. But anyway, folks, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you for joining me on this report. Always a pleasure to have your company. Again, thank you to all the supporters who send contributions through Skype or through my Wise account. It's the only thing that keeps me going, and I cannot thank you enough for that. You know, we will win this. Human consciousness will come through this. There'll definitely be a cleansing, a purification. We just don't want it to be the type of purification the Jews are talking about, because they intend to purify the world of all non-Jews. And we've really got to see where the problems are coming from. The problem has always been these people. That's why they were expelled from 109 countries 1,030 times.
We are a people that has been kicked out of every place we've ever lived for 2,000 years. Every single place.
They are at the root of the problem, with whatever stands behind it, whether it's some evil devil force or whatever you want to think it is, whether it's aliens, whatever you choose to believe, go ahead and believe it. But the instigators of it and the hand they are using on this earth is the Jewish people, the Zionists, the State of Israel. This is the biggest threat that we have ever faced. We are in one of the most pivotal and important times in all of history. So pay attention and get ready, folks. Now, I look forward to speaking to you again soon, folks. Please take very good care. Until then, in Lakesh.
Israel will eat its neighboring countries and create Greater Israel. Like China, Israel is an expansionist country, slowly increasing its territory. Greater Israel includes all of Palestine, Jordan, and Lebanon, and parts of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and Turkey. This is not a new concept, because the founder of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, considers all area between Nile River to Euphrates River area as Jewish land. It is because of this Greater Israel concept that Israel keeps looking for opportunities to attack its neighboring countries. Experts also believe that this is all part of a plan by the USA, which uses Israel to maintain its dominance in the Middle East. That's why not too long ago, Donald Trump said in one of his speeches that Israel is too small and needs to be bigger. Because of this, whenever Israel attacks any country, the USA always supports it.